Hello, everybody. Okay, see some people are getting on. Hey, Wendy. Hi, Susan. Hi, Mary. Hi, you guys. Okay, today I'm going to work on dangles and how to connect things. Hi, Jazz. Yeah, that meme was pretty funny, Jazz. I laughed my head off on that one too. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about making dangles or connecting things to other things, and sorry. Thanks, Jazz. I sent Jazz posted something about changing your passwords, and there's this goofy meme that I had seen somewhere else, so I posted it on her page. Maybe I'll post it on our group page too, just for the heck of it. It's okay. It's okay. You know I like to laugh. Anyway, what we're doing is I'm going to work on making connections for dangles for different things, like say a bracelet like this, that you can connect little parts and pieces to. Hey, Carol. So the way that you do that is by making a wire wrapped loop, which is, let's see, essentially this. I made a ginormous one so that you could see it better, and I'm going to work on a big size one like this just so you can get the wrapping down pat, because once you get that down pat, you can attach all kinds of things to different projects, and it's very handy, and they're very secure. So I'm going to move the camera down and show you some of the dangles that we're going to work on today. And let's see here. All right. Hopefully I have this adjusted properly. May need to get in a little closer. Or bring this up, maybe. That might even be better. Can you see that a little bit better? Maybe bring it back towards me a bit. Or like that, maybe. Okay. All right, let's see if that works. That might be a little bit better, that orientation. Okay. All right, so I have a various amount of different things here. I like to use little bits of chain. Those also make nice dangles, like I have here. And I've just kind of connected some. Sometimes if you're making something and you have a little bit of leftover chain, it's a good way to use little bits of chain like that. That pointer I have is kind of sticky. Oh, and so is this one. Something must be in my jar. Okay, so basically what we're going to do, work with are little bits of chain, head pins, and wire. I didn't unwrap my wire. Let me see here. Hey, Mary. I'm glad you made it. I've got some spooled 22 gauge wire here that I'm going to use some of this too for some little dangles. So this is all sterling silver, but you can use base metal if you want. I use a lot of copper. Just depends on what you want to make. And then we're gonna work towards making these little dangle earrings with some turquoise chips. That'll be the last thing that I'm going to work on. But I really want to go over the basics of making this wire wrapped loop, because to me it's one of the most important things in jewelry making if you want to attach things. So you know, as far as, I mean, there's all kinds of different jewelry making, but if you're doing beading and wire wrapping and things like that, you know, being able to attach little doodads to it, it's kind of nice to be able to do that. So just like the bracelet that I have on, I had made a chainmail bracelet, and then I decided to add all these little doodads on here, and each one of them is a wire wrapped loop. So I know you guys probably think I'm nuts, but when I am not inspired to do anything, you know, when I don't have anything particular in mind to make, a lot of times, or even when I'm at shows and I've got time to kill, I make some of these little findings, so that way I always have stuff to work on when I do have a thought in mind. So that's a lot of what's on here, as well as some check glass, flowers, things like that. So the chain, Jazz, the chain is just, I don't know, it was just chain that I bought on a spool, and maybe I made anklets with it, or I made a necklace or something and cut it to the size that I needed and had just a little bit left over, not really enough to do anything, you know, like to make another bracelet or a chain or whatever. So then I just have a little box that I save all these little bits of chain in, and you can make stuff with that. So actually these, you could use this sort of like a fringe. If you had one of those bead cones, you could insert this through the cone. I should have had one out just so I could have showed you. But you could just insert the cone over it, and then these little guys hang out, which is kind of fun. And then this was another one that that I came up with for the insides of bellflowers. So these kind of hang inside of those flowers. So yeah, really, Jazz, it is. It's pretty universal. You can use it for a lot of things. The links are small, and they lend themselves well to a lot of different things. So let's see here. So a lot of the dangles that I've made, sometimes I will call them links, not necessarily dangles, if I have two loops on them like this. And I would say these are more like connectors that you connect, but you can just make it a one-ended piece like this, and then it would be a dangle. In my world, that's what I would call that. So I'm using a variety of different things. I've got 6/0 seed beads. I've got 3mm silver balls, 6mm silver balls, 4mm silver balls, some little daisy spacers. I have a bunch of those. I have little 2mm balls. And then I have some 4mm Swarovski crystals. I also wrap 3mm ones too. It just depends on what I'm going to use them for. And some check glass that I can make little dangles for as well. And then this is just a mix of beads that you can make little individual dangles like this. So I'll wrap some of these, but I basically want to go through just the wrapping process, so that way if you don't already know how to do that, it will help you to do this, to make nice neat wraps. And you can replay this video as many times as you need. I'll try to go slow with the wrapping, so so that you can see exactly the movements that I'm making. I know that there are other people that do it a little bit differently, but the end result is always the same. So I use tools. Some people use their fingers to wrap around. It's really what you're comfortable with, and I can only show you the way that I do it and that I'm comfortable with. So, you know, you're on your own. But with having a video like this, you can replay it, you know, stop and replay as many times as you want till you feel like you've got it down. Hey, Deb, glad you made it. Okay, so what I did yesterday was, now where do I put all this stuff? What I did yesterday was I decided to just take a coil of some 18 gauge copper wire just to show you the wrap, and then we'll actually wrap some stuff. But these are the two that I made yesterday, and that way you can get a close-up view of how they're supposed to look. I also have a handout that has a picture of all this stuff in there too, so I'll post that later on. So, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna just, because I'm using big tools, well, first of all, I guess I should show you the tools that are needed for doing this. And I use a standard round nose and chain nose and wire cutters. Those are the essential ones for making the wire wrap loop. Okay, there's other ones that you can add to it if you wanted, but these are the three most important ones. And I've got some copper wire here. For the large loop, you know, for this big size one like this, I'm going to just use some baling pliers just so that you can see, hopefully that you'll be able to tell. I would recommend when you're practicing doing this to cut maybe like a 3-inch length of wire, just inexpensive craft wire. Don't use anything good while you're learning, because you know, you're bound to make mistakes, and you don't want to do that on sterling. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my wire into this baling plier, and I'm only using this baling plier because, like I said, I want to use the I want to make a large wrap. And the first move that I'm going to make, I keep my pliers parallel to the floor, and I'm just going to push that wire, that top wire, away from me. So I've got like an upside down big L. Okay. Then I'm going to roll my pliers, or remove my plier and roll it. I want the big side up, and I'm going to take this wire and roll it up and over, and then move my plier again so that I am wrapping this underneath. And I'll repeat this so you can see it all again. So then I've got my little stick guy right here. And that's how he's supposed to look right now. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the circle part with my pliers, and I'm going to change hands and rotate the plier so that this short wire is behind the loop, and I'm going to take my chain nose plier at the tip of the wire and the tip of the plier, and I'm going to pull this wire down at the base of the circle and wrap around. So this is how I'm going to go. Hopefully you can see this. You want to get as close to the bottom of that round circle. And I'm taking the wire and I'm wrapping around 3 times. And you want to keep your wraps close together. This is hard to hold because this is not what I normally do. I don't normally use this big of a tool. but I just wanted you to be able to see. I didn't know if you could see up close. Oh, I've mangled this one. I thought this would make a better visual for you, but I'll do it on the regular size ones too. Then you're going to cut off that extra little bit of wire with the flush end on the back. And now I've kind of distorted this because this is not the appropriate tool to be using. I'll show you the appropriate one in a minute. I just thought maybe you could see this a little bit better. Okay, and you can always kind of straighten everything out if the wire gets a little bit wonky. I'm also going to push this up just a little bit. But I don't normally wrap an 18 gauge wire, number one. And number two, I don't normally use baling pliers. Like I said, I'm just doing this so that you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. But I'm going to try with a smaller one, and you can let me know if you can see what I'm doing. Okay? So basically, let's try that again. I'm going to try to do it with a normal size pliers. And I don't have any 20 gauge wire, unfortunately, on the table. So let's see if I can do this again with the 18. And the other thing too, when you're practicing and you're cutting, like I said, a 3-inch length, you can wrap one end and then wrap the other. Now, Jazz, I think you were asking me before that you were, or mentioned before that you weren't sure how many wraps you need to go around when you're doing it. That really is determined by what you're doing. If you're attaching these to beads, you normally wrap until you touch the bead that's below it. You don't want to leave any space because then your beads are going to move around. If you wrap it too tight and you're trying to close it and you're squeezing it with your pliers, sometimes you can crack the bead if it's too tight. So usually I say wrap as many times as you need from the loop to the bead, you know, to cover that space. I hope. Yeah, a full wrap, as long as it goes around, even if it only goes around twice, as long as it's a full wrap, it should be secure. But it's just, basically you don't want that bead to be sliding around. You want it to be nice and, well, taut, I guess. All right, so I'm going to use my normal pliers. This is just the regular standard size round nose pliers. And I'm going to put my wire in. You want to leave enough wire so that you can make the loop and the wraps. So it's hard for me to tell you exactly how much length you need. That's something that you're going to have to play around with a little bit to see, but you want to have enough. So my first move is I've got my pliers in that horizontal position, and I'm going to push that wire away from me. Then I'm going to loosen my hand and just roll the plier up. And then I'm going to take this wire and push it up and over and down. Then I'm going to loosen my grip and then move the plier back to the horizontal position. And then continue to push this wire underneath the tines of the plier. And then I can remove it. Just keep in mind what you're trying to accomplish. You're just trying to make a round loop, and however you get to make that round loop is up to you, but this is the way I do it. Then I'm going to grab my loop with my round nose pliers. If you have extra chain nose pliers, you could grab it with that. That would actually be a little kinder to your wire, because the round pliers tend to dent your wire a little bit, but you can grab it like this. You grab the loop, then I'm changing hands and I'm turning the plier over so that I've got this wire, the short wire is behind the loop, sticking straight up, and then the long wire is this way, going horizontal. And I'm going to hold this firmly and then grab my chain nose pliers and grab the tip of the wire and the tip of the plier, and my goal is to wrap right at the base of that loop. So I'm going to pull this down, wrap, wrap. If you've got the room, I would just as soon do 3 wraps, but 2 is enough to hold it. I just like the way that 3 looks. All right, and then I'm going to snip off the excess wire as close as possible. And then if there's any sticking up, then I'll push it down a little bit with my chain nose pliers. This looks much better than that large one I made, but I did that so that you could see, hopefully that you could see. That was the whole point of doing the large wrap like that. Okay, so now if you're putting a bead in here, the first wrap is going to be the top of the bead. And let's see if I've got a bead that'll fit through here. I may not. Oh, it does. Okay, so I'm going to put this bead in here. All right. And say I want to make another loop on the other side. Then I'm going to put my round nose plier right at the very top of that bead. I don't want any space. I want it to rest on top of that bead, because that space is enough for the wire wrap right there. So I'm going to push this over, loosen the grip on my pliers and roll the plier up. Then I'm going to pull this wire up and over and down in front, loosen the grip on my pliers and move them to the horizontal position again, and continue to push this wire to the back so that I have another loop right there. Okay, so now I'm going to grab that loop with my pliers, and this is way too much wire here, so, and that's just going to get messy, so I'm going to cut some of this off here. I'm going to grab this wire, the tip of my pliers, I wondered why I couldn't see. I didn't have my magnifiers on. I'm going to wrap this around the base of the loop. I've gone around twice. And now, because this wire is so thick, I'm not sure if I can actually get 3 complete wraps. I think I can. I'm pushing it down here a little bit. And I'm going to cut off this excess. This 18 gauge wire is just way too thick for this particular bead, or wrap, whatever you want to call it here. And then push that wire down so there's no sharp spots on there at all. So this would actually be like a little link because it's got the 2 wraps. And if they're not oriented quite right when you're attaching, you can just kind of grab them and pull them so that they're both facing the right way. But sometimes when you're building something, you need one loop to go one way and one loop to go another way. So that's just something that you can adjust very easily with another pair of flat pliers. Okay, so are you guys getting the concept? Can you see what I'm doing okay? I can never really tell if I'm really totally in the frame. I think I am, but I'm not quite sure. So let's do, I don't know, if you want me to do one more, let me grab, I'll grab a piece of, I've got 20 gauge silver here, so I'll do a piece of 20 gauge silver. And I'm going to cut off, let's see, what am I going to wrap first? I'll cut off, I'd say it's about 2.5 inches. I'm just eyeballing as usual. All right, and let me grab some little doohickeys here. What do I want to do? Well, I'll just do something simple here. First off, you have to do a loop on one end before you introduce any beads. Okay, so this is going to, I'm going to push this over to the side so it's like an upside down L. Rotate, loosen the grip, rotate the pliers vertically, push the wire up and over and down in front of the plier, then rotate, ease the grip, and then rotate the plier, and you have your loop. Okay. Now I could have probably had a little extra on there, but it's enough to work with. So I'm going to grab the tip of the wire with the tip of the pliers and pull it down in front of the loop. I don't think I'm going to get 3 out of this one. Yeah, I could have cut that a little, I could have left it a little bit longer. Okay, but still not bad. I've only done like 1 million of these, so I could probably do this in my sleep. This is something that once you get the technique down pat, it's like you never forget. It's like riding a bike. So, all right, so I've got my bottom loop made, and I'm going to add to that, let's see here. I'll add a 3mm ball, and then a little daisy disc, and then let's do a 6mm ball and a daisy disc and another 3mm ball. Okay. All right. So that's going to be my little component right here. And I'm going to put the pliers right on top of that last bead. There again, bend my wire across away from me, release the grip and rotate the plier up on top, push that wire up and over and down in the front, release the grip of my pliers and rotate them again, and continue to push that wire underneath to complete the loop. Okay, then grab the loop, and this jazz is where you're going to wrap as many times as you need to meet up to that 3mm bead. And sometimes when you're using these little fine silver balls, if you try to get them too tightly wrapped together, sometimes they'll crush or dent. So you want to not wrap that tightly. You want it snug, but not where you're going to crush it. And then snip off that little excess. And then if there's a little point sticking up, which there normally is, I'll hold on to my loop and grab my chain nose pliers and then kind of just push that down so that that little point isn't going to stick up or scratch anything. Scratch your clothing or your skin. So then you've got what I'd call a double wrapped loop. Hey, Mary. Glad you could join in. Hey, Pat. Okay, so that's that. Okay, that looks so much better than the 18 gauge for this bead in copper. That's just too thick, but I was just trying to show you the technique, not necessarily, you know, the wire. And save all your little bits of silver. The copper not so much, but the silver you can always recycle that. So always keep those to the side. They do add up over time. Okay, so another thing, you know, what I did with those crystals, like I showed you before, in the copper, these little dangles, you can attach, this is just sections of chainmail that I just have little extra pieces of, but this is nice because, you know, to have these already made is nice because you can just take some jump rings. Hey, Tammy! You can take some jump rings and just attach them to the bracelet. And for that, I would use a chain nose and a flat nose. If you have two flat nose pliers, I would recommend that, but a chain nose and a flat nose will work just fine. And just open up one of these jump rings and then add a few crystals. I put these on almost all of my bracelets that I make. I just like them. I think they add a nice little pop of color and a little bit of movement, and it's easy enough to just add like that. And you can put as many, you know, as few or as many as you want. It's just totally a design choice that you want to do, you know, that you come up with. I use the crystals. I use the the 6mm seed beads quite often. It just depends on what I'm making. Sometimes, a lot of times with the copper, I'll go with the seed beads. I just think it is a more earthy look, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but just not so sparkly. But sometimes I like sparkly, so it really just depends on what you want to do. But once you have these components all made, you can just breeze through, you know, making these things really quickly. Let's see here. Well, that's too close in color. And you can do different sizes as well. You know, you could, it just depends on what you want to do. You could have, like I said before, you could have 4mm, 3mm. You could do 6. 6 is getting kind of big, but there again, it's whatever you like. So that's those little dangles right there. They're just kind of fun, I think. And you can do it on just about any weave. If you're doing chainmail, you could add those on, you know, at different little intervals. The thing that I find is important when you're putting dangles is that you put them all in the same direction so that they lay the right way. This one that I have on, this bracelet, is a double chainmail bracelet, so I wanted to put them on both sides and have them lay right. When you're moving around, it doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really matter that much, but if you laid this on the table, you'd see that, you know, there's an equal amount on either side, so it's even, and they lay right. Something on a narrow piece like this, if you put your jump rings on the bottom side and then put, one on the top, when you have it on your wrist, that doesn't always lay the right way. That's something else that you might just have to play with. So you can mess around with that. So then if you want to, what else do we want to do? I did that with the silver balls. I think you can, I hope you can see these. These I just threaded on a jump ring, so I kept them all in one place. But the little silver balls make really nice dangles too, like on a silver bracelet. You could put those on there. This is way more than I would put in one little section. 3 is about usually what I do for a dangle. So those look kind of neat. Let's see here. Here's one here. This is one here that I've got three balls on there that I would attach somewhere. Even if I'm doing just a solid chainmail bracelet in silver, I'll put one of these little dangles at the very end at the clasp end, just because I like it. It doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it's not significant other than the fact that I like it. But these, again, these are, I made these with 1-inch head pins, which, unless you're skilled at making the wraps, I wouldn't advise this to start because they're a little more tedious. This is, let me grab one of these silver balls here. I mean, it's the same technique, you're just working with smaller amounts of material. And I like to use the 1-inch for something this small because when you go to purchase these head pins, the 1-inch is half the material that a 2-inch is, so there's going to be less cost and less waste. So, although if you recycle, you know, you are not really having that much waste, but you still, when you recycle, you don't get as much money as it cost initially. So I just try to use the most, make the better choice of with spending the money. So I'm going to bend this over. This is teeny. And put the plier on the bend there. Wrap it, bring it up and over. A lot of times when you're first beginning this, your tendency, when I tell you to move the pliers in the different direction, people don't loosen up the grip, and then the whole piece turns, and it, you know, you don't accomplish what you wanted to. So I'm turning this over into my non-dominant hand, and where's the chain nose? Oh, here they are. Okay. And there again, I'm going to grab the tip of the wire. I mean, it's the same movement. It never changes. The tip of the wire, tip of the plier, just remember that. And take your time. And wrap till you touch the top of the bead. Okay, so I'm going to grab my loop here and then grab my cutters. Cut with the flush end. And then tuck that little wire down. And then you have an itty bitty dangle. Okay. Okay, so for these others, you know, I mean, you can make them really just however you want. Whatever combination of little seed beads you have, little leftovers, maybe you've had a kit of something and you've got, you know, just a few beads of this or that, you can make little dangles. And you can dangle these on your earrings too. Say if you made wire loops or hoops or whatever, you could even add little dangles on those. Just working with the 1-inch head pins is just a little bit more trying, but once you get used to it, it's really absolutely no big deal at all. I know some people wrap, I think they call them a messy wrap. It's a whole different look. I've tried doing that, and I'm no good at it, I guess. I'm not a big fan. I guess maybe that's, I need it to look not messy. But on certain pieces, it probably looks fine. Okay, so here's another little potential dangle right there. Okay, so then when, well, like I said before, you can configure these however you want, depending on what kind of beads you have. If you're going to do a chain, if you want to do dangles on a chain, let's see here. Do I have equal lengths? I might. I think I cut these. I did this last week, so I'm not sure. No, I've got two shorter ones and one longer. And let's see if this matches. No, this is definitely shorter. Okay, this is little 4 pieces of chain that you could do something with. Now, when you're working on chain and you're going to put a dangle on, you're going to put that on the very bottom. Like say when I made these earrings, I started off with, actually what I started off, this is a little bit different. This one I built, or I put 3 different turquoise chips on there on a head pin. You can see, so there's no loop on the bottom of that. And then, I guess we could just build that, and then that way you could see how that goes. Is the piece by the chain on your mat a silver bead inside of a jump ring? I'm not sure which one, Jazz. I've got like these 3 I just connected to a jump ring, and then I put another jump ring through that, if that's what you mean. I'm not sure. Did I make the beaded head pin? This little one, this one that I just did, Deb? Oh, on the bottom of this one, maybe? The one I just moved? I don't know. This one? Okay, yeah, you can add, like say, take a 2-inch copper head pin. So it's got the bottom on there, got the little stop there, and I'll put a small bead on the bottom, and then kind of just add different things, whatever floats your boat and whatever you have, basically. Make it a little varied. With a 2-inch head pin, you can build a lot bigger dangle. I keep moving the piece you're asking about. Is it the chain or the bead? This? It looks like a ball with a head pin sticking out of it. This one? Oh, gosh. Let's see. With the head pin sticking out, well, there's only these two that are sticking out. This one. This one. Okay, this one. All right, so this one I did just like a 2mm ball, a daisy spacer, and a 6mm ball on there. And that would actually be enough unless you wanted to put something else on. If you like things to be balanced. No, it probably was just up against this. This is actually pretty much the same thing, just finished. Okay, so I put that on there. Oh, okay, okay. Gotcha. Some of these I just added rings to. I don't know why I just did it. I don't know why I do some of the things I do. I just do it. Okay, so back to this. So say that dangle is enough and I don't want any more on there. Then I would just take the round nose pliers. There again. Push the wire away from me. Release it and turn the plier upward. Move the wire up, over, and down in front. Move the pliers again. Take your pliers out and you've got your loop. Grab the loop with your round nose pliers. Turn the pliers over and change hands. And then grab the tip of the wire with the tip of the plier. And wrap 2 to 3 times. It just depends on how close you are to that top bead. And then cut off your wire. And push down that little piece that is sticking up. Now another thing, well, so here's this piece. So that's another little dangle right there. Okay. Yeah, no, not that one, that one. I understand. The other thing that you can do, a handy little tip, is if you want to make sure that your wraps, the loops of the wraps are all the same size, you can pick an area of the pliers. You know, the smaller you go, the smaller loop you're going to have. I tend to hover around this area right here for the size of my loops. So what you can do is make a little mark like this on your pliers, and that way you can line up your pins in the same place, and you're going to get the same size loop each time, if that matters to you. There again, I think it just depends on what you're making. So let's see here. I've got hairs falling all over. All right, so if you wanted to do the chain, to wrap on the chain, I'm going to go ahead and start building the this earring right here. And another thing, different topic, but you know, for the last several demos, I've been using 20 gauge fine silver wire for my ear wires because I had read that that was a good size to use, and I like the fine silver because the balls, the wire balls up real nice. It doesn't make any little puckers, and you know how I feel about puckered balls. So, so I've been using the fine silver, but I was trying to wear some of these, and even though I had tumbled them, I had hammered around the tops of them a little bit to wire harden or work harden the wires, I was still having a hard time keeping these in my, putting them in my ears without bending this 20 gauge wire. So I asked Deb Mauser, because I think, I know that she's a fan of Argentium, and she said that she uses the 20 gauge Argentium wire to make her ear wires. So I promptly ordered myself some of that and made some, and I do like them better. So if you haven't tried the ear wires with the Argentium wire, you might want to try, give that a try. And I think that those are going to be a little more solid. So, all right, so for this ear wire, or for this earring, I want to try to duplicate this. And I attached this thing to the bottom. I want to make sure that this is the same wire, or same chain, and I believe it is. But I am not going to use, I want to duplicate this as best I can. So where are my little turquoise chips? Here they are. I'm going to pour out some turquoise chips. I bought some strands of turquoise chips when I was in Tucson, and I wish I had bought more. I'm kind of blowing through them pretty fast, and I didn't think I would, but I am. So let's see here. I am going to use, I think I'll use a longer head pin on here. I'll use a 2-inch silver head pin, and I want to try to replicate this other earring as best I can. But the chips are real irregular. There's different sizes and different shapes, thicknesses. So you don't have to get them exact. It's pretty darn hard to do that anyway, but just to get them close enough. So I'm gonna I have a small and then kind of a medium one, and then maybe just one a little bit wider than that. Go with that, see how that looks. It's close enough. It is different, but it's okay. They're on 2 different ears on the opposite sides of your face, so if anybody's getting that close, you can tell them to back off. All right, so I'm going to put this on here. Oh, I really could have gotten by with a 1-inch. I'm going to do that. Okay, so put those in there. Push this on the side. Are you getting the gist of this movement here? Now at this point, I'm going to insert this into my chain. Before I close this pin, I'm going to slip that inside the chain and then hold on to this, and then finish the wrap. And this again, you're going to wrap this until you reach the top of that piece of turquoise. If the pin is long enough, and it should be. And if it isn't, that's my own damn fault because I changed pins. All right, so you want to just make sure that's nice and snug up against there, and then cut off this excess, And you've got your first part of building this wire or this earring. And what I do then is okay, so then what I did was I counted up on the chain, and I'm not real accurate on this, but I went up, let's see, 2 links, and I added a piece of turquoise. And there again, I tried to keep the size more or less I don't know, equal, whatever, comparable. But it doesn't always turn out that way. And some of these chips are really strange. I think I'm going to open up, take some more off of this strand, because these are graduated. These particular chips are graduated ones, and some of the larger ones I might want for a different project, but I'll just take some of those off, leave the rest on the strand. All right, where's my pin? All right, so then I'm going to go up 2 chain links and add that in there. And how I'm going to do this is, I guess maybe it's hard to say on here, but it's like I try to put some on this side of the chain and some on this side of the chain to kind of balance it out, because you don't want them, when they hang straight, you don't want them all to go to one side. So if you put them on alternating sides, they hang better. I really like these turquoise chips. Like I said, I bought these in Tucson this year, and I had some already in my drawer from previous year, and really hadn't done anything with them. And then I guess after Tucson, I started playing with some of these, and I realized how many it took to do some of the projects. So like I said, I wished I had bought more, but next year I will buy more. Oh, thank you, Dina. That's very sweet of you. I love doing this stuff, and I like to share it with you. You know, not everything I do is for everybody, but you know, certain people, you know, like it, and everybody's at different levels, so it's just kind of neat to do. I enjoy it, and it keeps me out of trouble. All right, so I put this one. Now where did I go on this one? I'll go up. I guess I'll go up 2 again. And what you can do, instead of closing these up at this point, you can attach several on the wire or on the chain and see how they lay. And if you don't like that position, then you can change them before you're committed to that spot. But even, you know, even if you didn't like it and you wanted to change it, you can certainly cut that pin off and do it again. It's just a matter of trying to avoid that. Okay. Deb, you kill me. I am, you know, it's like they say, jack of all trades, master of none. That's pretty much, I think, where I fit. But that's okay with me. I don't mind that at all. I don't have to master all of this stuff. I just like to do what I like to do. All right, so let's see here. I don't know if you can tell from the angle of the camera, but this is how you want them to go, to alternate. Yeah, I'm not real crazy about what I've got left here. Maybe I should have doubled some of these up. I don't know. Well, whatever it is, it is. So I want to kind of compare where I'm at with the other one. But like I said before, it doesn't have to be identical, but I'd like it to be as close as possible. This particular strand of turquoise is a greener one, and unfortunately I didn't mark down what mine it was from, and I'm going to make sure that I do that next year, because it's got me wondering. There's so many different color variations in the turquoise world that it would be nice to know, just to be able to say, whoa, this is Carico Lake or Kingman or something like that, you know, but I have no clue. And you have to be careful too. Some of the chips, the way they're drilled, they some of the holes are very close to the edge of the chips, and I try to avoid those because I'm afraid that at some point in time they might break, and I don't want that to happen. So let's see, how many chips do I have on here? 2, 4, 6, 7. And I have 6 on here. And then I'll make my top bundle. But yeah, the 1-inch head pins are great for these small things. And if you can buy them in bulk, that's going to be a better buy for you. Excuse me. I don't like that one either. Try this one. I know this is kind of boring, but it's also kind of fun, because if you didn't know how to attach these, now you do. And the possibilities are pretty limitless on what you can do with these things. So I'm going to go ahead and close these up and then make my top a little bundle to attach to this. And if you guys have any questions and want to pick my brain, go for it. Even if it doesn't pertain to this, I'll try to answer as best I can. I don't know it all, but I do know a little bit, so. I'm hoping the broadcast is nice and clear for you guys. I read everybody the riot act before I got online to stay off of their stuff, so hopefully things would be good. My daughter's back, and A lot of times she likes to get on the Xbox when I'm doing something, and then that just kind of drags the internet, or the whatever you call it, the speed. Oh, see, now that piece of turquoise just blew off of there. That one was not a good piece, which happens. That hole must have been a little bit too close, because I don't think I squeezed it, although you never know. All right, let's see here. All right. Can you have a sample of the riot act? Yeah. I'm more bark than bite, but most of the time it doesn't work anyway. It falls on deaf ears. I just like to think that I'm listened to. All right. Who am I fooling, right? Okay. And you can do these with crystals, with pearls, with silver balls, anything you want to do them with. You can wire wrap these little things onto a piece of chain. It's just kind of a neat way to do stuff. Just gives you other options. When I first started stringing and stuff, I worked with a lot of crystals, and I think a lot of people do when they're first working with these things. And I made a lot of this style earring, but with crystals. And I've kind of moved over to the gemstones a little bit more. I kind of like them a little bit better than the crystals, although I do like shiny. There's nothing wrong with a little bling. Deb, I love your glasses. I think they're really cute. They look really nice on you. I saw your little clip, your reel, yesterday, and I thought, you go, girl, you look really cool. One more to go. I don't know if it's hot in your neck of the woods, but it sure has been hot here. I am hoping, well, what can I hope for? It's August, you know, it's when it's going to be the peak heat around here. We'll have it all month long. I remember when we were young, we went, Al and I took a camping trip, and we went out west, and we knew nothing. You know, we were like 20 years old. We knew nothing. I had never camped before, and and we go camping, and all I had at the time was, I wore flannel shirts and like, not army boots, but kind of like them, you know, and and we're down at the Grand Canyon, and I'm dying. I'm absolutely dying. And that was the time when you went braless too, you know. And here I'm wearing this flannel shirt, and, and let's just say that my chest was hurting really badly, I guess, from rubbing against this flannel shirt, and it was like 110 degrees down in the Grand Canyon. I've got nothing else to wear. It's like, how stupid can you get? I mean, August? Who's thinking, back then that it could possibly be hot down there in the desert? Oh, well. Okay, so I've got those on there, and then I'm going to just count how many pieces of chain that I had before I clipped it off. So I've got on my top one here, I think I'm higher up on this one. I may not have calculated this too well. I have a couple of choices. I can either add another one here or not. But I think just for the heck of it, I'm gonna snip that off, and then I'll build my little bundle, and then I'll worry about it. Just looking at the comments here. Yeah, Deb, I've always had this issue, even when I was like, 100 pounds, big boobs, and it's the bane of my existence. What can I say? Yeah, that was a lesson learned, though, let me tell you. I never wore a flannel shirt braless again. There was no way that was going to happen again. Lesson learned. Oh well. It's fun to look back at that stuff and laugh at yourself. It's like I needed Band-Aids, stat. And then one other trip, we were in Wyoming. We drove, I think it was Wyoming. We drove all the way across, like, Nebraska. I mean, we didn't stop anywhere. We were too broke to get a hotel. So we just kept driving until we couldn't drive anymore. And we stopped someplace in Wyoming, and I wanted to get a shower, and I realized I didn't pack any underwear. So we had to go find a Kmart or Walmart or someplace out there and get underwear. It's like, oh, geez, if I only had a brain. It's like, how can you not pack underwear? But I did it. And you can be sure that never happened again, because it was hard to find a place, a town. We were like in the middle of nowhere. But we had a good time. All right, let's see here. Boy, my choices of these chips are really leave a lot to be desired. But I think you get the gist of it. They don't have to be exactly. Oh, and then there's another time. Same trip. We actually went with another couple, and they were actually experienced campers, but I wasn't. And this other guy that we were with, I kind of botched this one up. He was like, oh, we're just gonna live off the land. I mean, you got to remember, this was like 1971, maybe. And we were all about, peace, love, and live off the land kind of crap. And he says, we don't need to bring anything, just bring some extra clothes, and you don't have to bring food. We'll eat off the land. And it's like, I'm like dying thinking, no way, I'm not going to go someplace and not have any food, you know, and we don't need toilet paper and all this stuff. And man, my backpack, I was cramming it. I was cramming it full of toilet paper, cans of tuna, cans of Spam, you know, anything anything that I could think of that we could eat, you know, when we're out in the middle of nowhere. Jar of peanut butter. And I'm thinking, I'm not bringing anything, you know. I'm stuffing everything somewhere. And we stopped to eat at some Greasy Spoon in Colorado. And oh, about an hour after we're in there, you know, after about an hour after we ate, I was like, my guts started just gurgling, and we were like in the middle of nowhere. There was like no gas stations, no towns, no nothing, and I knew I was going to lose it, you know, that I was going to bust if I didn't stop at a bathroom or something. So we were driving past some woods, and I pulled out a roll of toilet paper, and I insisted that we pull over. And poor Al, we walked out into the woods. You know, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know if a snake was going to bite me in the ass or what, you know. But I dropped my drawers and I just let it go. And poor Al standing there with the roll of toilet paper. Disgusted, of course. Of course, but he was my toilet paper roll holder. And like I said, he was disgusted about it, but I laugh about it now. I think it's hilarious, but at the time, I thought I was going to die, and had no idea what people did in the wilderness, but I wasn't going to let it get me. So anyway, and we were eating Spam on the rim, mind you, the rim of the Grand Canyon. You know, I wouldn't do that any way, shape, or form now, but we're sitting on the edge and we're opening our little cans of Spam and eating it. It was pretty wild. Well, back to this. Yeah, Pat, I was, you know, it's like a snake could have bit me in the ass for all I would know, but. And I'm yapping and not knowing what I'm doing here, so I have to get back to finishing this. This last one, this connector here, is going to be just that. It's going to be a connector. So I need a piece of this wire. Let me cut off this little curly part here. But, you know, it's nice to have memories like that. Even if they weren't so funny at the time, we can laugh at them now. And laugh at the stupidity of, you know, thinking that we knew everything at that age. And really, it wasn't really that way. There were a million ways we could have been in danger for doing stupid stuff, but we got through it all. All right, so I made my loop here at the bottom, and I'm putting a little ball at the top, in there, and then putting my little stone stack here, and that'll be the top portion. Oh, well, I guess I didn't do that right. I should have. Never mind, I'll get it. I'll be all right. Just have to change gears here. I stacked them wrong because this loop has to go inside of the chain, the end of the chain. So that's my component for the top of these earrings. So I want to check here on the length. Like I said, I think I did them uneven. Oh, and I wanted to tell you guys too that I know I mentioned it on the group page maybe a week or so ago, about changing my stuff over to YouTube, my demo videos, because for whatever reason Facebook has eliminated some of them. I've got most of them, and I copied most of them to a hard drive so that I wouldn't have that happen again. But I'm switching them over to YouTube little by little. So I'm going to have to give you my YouTube channel address so that you can access those. But it's going to take me a while to get them all done. I've probably got 15 or more loaded so far, but it all takes time. And but I think that that'll be a more reliable source, you know, to view these again whenever you want, if you want to, that you'll be able to find them easily enough. So that's the other one right there. And I can't tell if they're even or not, but I will mess with that to make sure they're the right height. I think they actually are. It might be just a little bit. And that could be the choice of stones too that I used on there, but they look pretty. They're close. They're close. So anyway, this one's a little bit longer, but I can always fix that too. That's not a bad thing. And then I just need to make the ear wire for the second one. And then I'll have a pair of little dangly earrings. So I don't know. I mean, that's really about all that I planned for this demo. But my main concern is that you understand how to make that wire wrapped loop, because once you get that down, I mean, it takes practice. If you're not accustomed to doing that and you want to learn to do this, like I said before, get some craft wire and just practice until you get it down. And it's like riding a bike, you know, you'll always remember how to do it, but you got to do a lot of them to get to that point. So let's see here. Let me check on anything. Yeah, Suni, it's a given that you're always going to forget something whenever you travel. But you know, as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little bit better on some of that stuff. But I was just dumb, you know, at 20 years old. I was just kind of dumb. But anyway, oh yeah, that would have been a great way to get chiggers. Not. Deb says, we got off the PA Turnpike once because I was experiencing similar cramps. We found some woods at the side of the road and I rushed to let loose. And when I stood up, I realized I was actually in clear view of someone's patio. Oh, how do strangers had to run? Yeah, you know, those are embarrassing moments, but, you know, that happens, you know, it happens. So anyway, if you guys have any questions on this, let me know. But you know, you can rewind or replay the demo and try to get down the movements down pat if you can, and try it out and see. I mean, I'm just assuming a lot of you don't know how to do this, but you know, that's not necessarily the case. So you may be doing them just fine. But I just thought it might be a valuable thing for people that haven't really done any of that. So, oh, good for you. Hi, Nicole. Yeah, I like the dangly stuff. You know, I think it's kind of fun, and you can do so many different things. Yeah, replay when you have a chance, Nicole, and see if there's anything that you can relate to on here. Hopefully not my terrible stories, but But yeah, you know, if you do some stuff, post it on the page. I always like to see what you guys do. It's always inspiring to me as well. So like I said, look for that link for the YouTube channel, and I'll put that on there. I mean, you'll still have access to the group page for the demos, but I just wanted to make sure that I don't lose them forever. So, or for you guys, because I mean, I do, after this is over, I will download it on an external hard drive. So I always have the videos, but there are, on the list of the ones that I have on the group page, there are some missing or some links don't play, and I don't know why that happened other than the possibility that Facebook deleted them. And my link is still there, but it's not active. I do have one demo that is still viewable on the Southwest Concho earrings that for whatever reason I cannot download that. I cannot download that on my external hard drive. I can play it just fine, but I can't download it, and that's very frustrating to me. So if anybody has any ideas on how I can recover that, I mean, I can copy the link, but it's always a Facebook link. So it's like not something I can save. You'd have to have Facebook to view it, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right or not, but I find that very frustrating. So if you have any experience in that, please pass that along to me. Okay, Jazz, this was fun. It's been a very long time since I've been able to join a live. It was good being here with you all. Thank you. I know, you know, it's a busy life for everybody. So, you know, sometimes you can catch these things and sometimes you can't. So, you know, I'm glad to have you join me. It's always fun. You want photo box suggestions? I don't know. Nicole, the thing that I'm trying to save is the Southwest Concho earrings demo. And, you know, up at the top of the page where you're viewing, like right now, it says I'm live on the Artisans Workshop, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the 3 dots to the side. And if you click on that, at least on mine, it'll give you different things, and then it'll say download. Well, on that particular demo, that does not say download. So I can't download it. I can copy the link, but copy it to what? You know, I can't copy it to save it, you know, so that anybody could view it. So that's the thing that I'm trying to figure out. So anyway, all right. So I'll see you guys. Hey, Karen. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks, you know, week after next. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing exactly, but I've got a few different things. I've got a soft solder demo that I want to do at some point, and I don't know, a couple other ones. So I'll just see, I'll see what we turn up with. So, all right. Thanks for joining me, you guys. I always enjoy when you're here with me. So take care. See you next time. Bye-bye.